If there's someone that's very, very young and goes into a marriage and has kids when they're like 18, 19, 20, a year into the relationship, it gets really, really abusive. Even though it might be rare from what you guys think.
It is.
If it would happen, what would you recommend for those people? Would they divorce, or do you want them to keep going in the relationship?
Keep going.
You can't divorce. That's not a real thing.
Even though it might be like physically abusive?
Because you got to endure. People are too...
You want to stick into the
People
relationship?
are just...
See, I mean, look,
people
I'm gonna be
nowadays
honest.
are just...
For anyone that might be in that situation, what would you recommend?
Okay,
endure.
I'll tell
Would
you
they
what.
give up
I'll tell you what.
Endure.
It is such an extreme example that I can't give a prescription for what other people should do.
What about if two people get married, they have a kid, and then the wife starts cheating? Do you think they should divorce?
Absolutely. Jesus himself said in cases of adultery, divorce is
So you think that
permissible.
divorce is worse than physical abuse?
For the
Or
children...
cheating, sorry. You think that
Cheating
cheating
is
is worse than physical abuse?
For the
Sorry.
children, yes.
Absolutely
I think I'm not going to
That guy's trolling, right? That guy's
No.
he doesn't
for
really
real.
believe that.
I think
He
he
just
really
said crucifixion.
He really believes that.
I feel he's being hyperbolic.
Yeah, he's got to be trolling. There's no way. So
Should we take him seriously though?
should we? What do you,
Is it-
Candice?
is-
You,
or
you,
is
I
that,
think so. I
like-
think you're responsible for the content that you put out there, and you have young people consuming it. So take
You
responsibility.
think he's trolling?
No,
you
I
think
think
he's
he.
genuine.
I think he thinks that.
Could you explain what you think he thinks?
that's
again?
Destiny's wife again.
Yes. Yeah.
Whose?
Destiny's. He's the guy with the blue hair.
Who can't get a word in edgewise?
No, he's amazing. I highly recommend his content to anyone. I'm a really big fan of Destiny. My interpretation of what he believes is that if you are a woman or wife, it is your responsibility to endure for good, for bad, whatever, like you took these vows. So regardless if your husband is cheating on you, regardless if your husband is beating you, it is the wife's job to endure because she is supposed to submit.
Till
And
death
then-
do us part.
Till death do us part. Like he said, divorce isn't a thing, which like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then you have also the perspective that if the wife cheats, then that is grounds for divorce. So he's allowed
It's like
to
a double standard.
right. So he's allowed to cheat. He's allowed to hit, and that if the wife is cheating, that is worse on the kids and the family than if the husband is abusing the wife.
You drew the same conclusions from that? That's what you got out of that too? That's what he was saying?
Yeah, it's hard for me to believe that what they're saying is
Take 'em serious?
to take them
But
seriously.
why would you say something that crazy?
I've said way crazier things just to get a giggle. But the
They're not comedians.
He
though.
wanted to get on Canceled Weekly, I think.
that's what it is.
Maybe he was trying
yeah,
to troll
I
and
don't.
be
It's
a
hard
little-
for me to tell because there's so much of this Manosphere shit that I just. It's so counterintuitive that I feel like they're saying things specifically for views. I feel like they're saying things
I
specifically
feel
to
like that
be.
goes on too.
Yeah, they're just trying to be as controversial
Be
and salacious.
inflammatory,
Yeah.
say some salacious
Yeah,
shit.
listen,
and-
if you're a girl and you're in a physically abusive relationship, get the fuck out
Absolutely.
immediately.
Yeah.
Especially,
Nobody has their
especially
rights.
if there's kids. It's a matter
There's
of
kids
time.
out
Even
there.
more so,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, if you're hitting a woman, it is a minute away until you can justify hitting the kid. A minute away.
Yeah.
So it is your responsibility, especially as the mother, to protect the children. So if you are getting hit, get the fuck out.
Yeah, physical
protect your
or
kids.
emotional trauma.
Yeah,
you
get
need to
out.
protect them from. And
Can you spank your kids though?
different strokes, man.
So
Literally. Like,
my belief when
hopefully.
it comes to like physical punishment with kids, I don't subscribe to it. The research doesn't say that it helps. I think if
Right.
you're going to do it, you have to do it like with the code of the samurai, right? So it's if you're going to chop someone's head off, you don't do it right after he spits in your face because then you're filled with anger and anger is making that decision for you. You leave the room, you wait till you come back, and then you come in and you chop off the head. So you're doing it with integrity, you're doing it with purpose, and you're doing it with clarity. You're not doing it based off of emotion.
Revenge is like serving cold cuts.
I don't follow.
If the salad's not on top, I send it back. Yeah, it's The Office. I don't know, man. There is a certain amount of fuck around and find out. I think young men need in their lives.
Well, then you have to talk about age too.
I've heard like Candace saying like from like psychologists, they don't agree with hitting the kid. Right?
It doesn't
like
show
says,
an improvement in behavior.
You're looking
Yeah,
at
but
this. You're looking at this
psychologists
person.
also tell kids to fucking transition at 13 years old.
Do you want a kid that submits though, and that cowers, and that is just going to fall in line?
Yeah, anyone who
I
could
was hitting,
physically
I don't
abuse
submit,
them,
I
they
don't
could.
cower.
You know what I mean? But the big thing that I connected with is like you're looking at this person for love and protection, and that same person, like your father, your mother, whatever, that's the person who's then beating your ass.
Sure.
And making you feel weaker than all hell, and making you feel the worst.
Sure. There's
right. So that's a deterrent. That's a downside. I can also speak. I know I was way more fucking respectful, and because I was scared what would happen if I went home.
No doubt.
And I acted like an asshole somewhere, and shit. They were gonna call my dad. Fuck.
I know, but I guess the third option is there a way to get your kid to listen to you or to do the right thing without the use of fear or of physical punishment? Like, can you get them to really want you, like want your respect, want your approval, want your love, and do it because it's the right thing?
I think love is the way. But also I think there's also going to have to be a lot of output and energy poured in by the parent to, facilitate that type of relationship where we can talk about everything and you can have to talk in circles because kids are going to be thick. I almost feel like the physical punishments can bridge that gap until they're old enough to really understand in a way. You know what I mean? But also at the same time, it could traumatize them and fuck them up in some other way.
I want my kid, no matter what they do, no matter how fucking bad it is, to feel that they can come to me. And that they can come to me and I'm going to help them get out of it. Not necessarily to not to clean up their mess, but to help, I should say, get them through it, right? Like, how do we get through this together? Like, I'm on your team no matter what. So I don't want them to lie to me because, like, oh, if I go to mom, she's going to whack me. Or if I go to dad, he's going to beat me. Like, we are
I was afraid
unit.
to lie because I'd get whacked too.
If they find out, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be double bad.
Yeah, I would rather them come to me and know that they can, and I've got their back no matter what. That's my baby. It's ride or die. Like,
I think it's
hand me
hard
a
for
shovel.
parents who are like they're working all day, then they come home, they have a couple hours. And
It's
they
exhausting.
It's got to be so
But
exhausting.
then it's lazy, and then why'd you have kids in the first place? It's your
Right,
duty
if you're not going
to
to pour yourself all out for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I do think that's the ideal way, and doing it like with love. Like we were talking about like the impulsivity of like young men too, how like we're wild men, we do crazy shit, but I know always like my parents' love is why I'm going to make sure I don't die young. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that to them. So I need to be responsible, and through their loves, like, can teach a lot of responsibility.
And I guess the question too is, in any other relationship, if it's with a spouse, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, a business associate, let's say a dog even, right? If they're not listening or if they're misbehaving, are you allowed to whack them?
A dog, a what?
A dog, like let's say a dog, like really, like you
I
see
think
how
I
some
think a
parents,
whack on the nose sometimes
that's
could be good for a
different.
dog.
Like when parents spank or slap or do worse, that's not a whack on the nose. And then are you gonna like give your wife a whack on the nose because she's not listening?
How many times
Why
have I
not?
told her?
Yeah.
But why not? Like, so she has more of an ability to defend herself than your child, right? She has more of a conception of what's going on and the ability to have a constructive conversation or to just like go against,
Yeah,
right?
it's almost like it's an imperfect teaching tool.
It just doesn't make sense if you can't apply it across the board. Why
But
can
I feel
hit
sometimes
this?
you can't reason with kids the same way.
I disagree.
Are you a pacifist in all things? Do you think that
I'm not a
violence
pacifist.
does violence ever have a
No, I'm not a
place?
pacifist at all. I'm not a pacifist at all. I think that there's absolutely a time and place for violence, 100%. Like when we talk to our children, it's not don't hit. It's like this is when you do it.
Got you.
Yeah, for sure.
I also think with this clip, nowadays a lot of like divorce is such a high rate.
Yeah.
Right. I think there is almost like a little bit of a lack of loyalty.
Yeah.
You know, like people are quick to fucking like the grass looks greener over there, quick to hop out, quick. So I think there should be. And I don't know if that was really the point of the clip, but that was something I got
No,
from
but
it. Where
that
it's like
seems to be. I get what you're saying. That seems to be like a tactic of the Manosphere, is to take a truth, an undeniable truth that people are too quick, too triggered to pull the trigger and get out, and then be like, yeah, if you get hit once or twice, like no, there's a pretty wide gap between those two things.
Abuse,
man.
you get out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a pretty wide gap between
not-
everybody's getting divorced these days, and what you can't take a right hook? Like that's a it's a big gap there.
There's lines that when they're crossed,
Yeah.
it's time to. There's a reason for divorce.
Yeah, this is a very old school mentality, and it's a very Irish Catholic mentality. Is like, the Irish guy, there would be a joke where they call it the Irish kiss, right? And the joke would be like Irish women were mouthy. they were mouthy. And, you know, the Irish guy would get drunk because he never talked about his feelings. He was the Irish stoic. He was the quiet man. You know, John Wayne, the quiet man. He'd get drunk and, you know, hit her or something like that. And then she'd, you know, he'd go to church on Sunday and apologize to the priest, you know, put $10 in the basket, say 10 Hail Marys, and then, you know, she'd forgive him and they'd have another 16 kids. So I don't think that that's the right way to do it. I know that there were women in my family. My grandma was an abuse victim. I don't ever see a reason for a man to hit a woman. I don't ever see a reason for a woman to stay in a relationship with a man who hits her. Although, this one's for you, Manosphere. I do feel like women are breaking the social bonds. I feel like women are breaking the rules of the détente.
What do you mean?
When they get in a man's face and they hit men or they threaten men or they act like a man and all that shit.
I don't think that women should be hitting men either.
Well, when they act very, very aggressively as a man would act, but they know they have this plot armor of if he hits me, I'm the victim immediately. Yes.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Yellowstone?
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't.
No? Oh my God. There's this fucking amazing scene. And there's this one brother that is just such a bitch. Like he's like the corporate
Jamie?
yeah, he's the corporate lawyer. No one really likes him. And then there's this wild sister and she goes in.
Oh yeah.
And she starts getting in his face. She's like, be a man, be a man. And she's like fucking mauling him, right? And finally he takes a hook and knocks her down. And he's like, am I a man now? And she stood up and wiped her lip and she goes, a man would have never hit me. And then you have to see the scene for context.
I remember it, yeah.
And so he goes in and then the dad is like, you touch your sister again, I'll fucking knock you through a wall. And it's certain things you don't do. And I don't agree with women hitting men. I do think that you are engaging with someone much bigger, stronger, and then whatever is happening, you have to take your role in whatever happens next. However, I do know men that like there's, aside from like her having a weapon or something, there's not going to be any amount of her hitting him that he's going to pop her like that.
No, never.
But
Never.
if she has like a knife or a gun,
For sure, that's different.
you can clock a bitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You have to protect yourself too. But I'm saying like some girl who's not going to really do any damage if she's doing that.
Right. You can grab the
remove
wrists
yeah.
and get out of there.
Get her off you and leave, right? You don't need to fucking knock her out.
No, you don't.
It's overkill.
It's overkill.
Right.
But I have picked him up and moved him into another room before, though.
That's kidnapping, dude. That's kidnapping.
I have grabbed him by
Why
the
would you admit
shoulders,
that? Cut that
picked
part
him
out.
up, walked into the bedroom, throw him in the bedroom, put the door behind me, and left.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't think that there's a problem
It's fine.
with that.
It's fine.
Yeah, I said so.
It's fine. You heard that, Manosphere? Yeah, it's impossible for me to think that guy's being serious. And if he is being serious, man, oh man, please come on the podcast.
Yeah,
come on our podcast.
we invite you.
Anytime you want,
the first
open
guest to Cancel
invitation
Weekly.
to sit here and explain yourself. Arm's length from Mickey and I.